If you're anything like me, you're tired of hearing about stressed out pastors and struggling churches. What if I told you there's a game-changing strategy that is already making strides across the entire globe? Welcome to the world of bivocational ministry, the surprising model that's actually revolutionizing the way that churches operate. Like it or not, the future of ministry is looking more and more like it's gonna be bivocational, and in this video, I'm gonna break down the reasons why I think that's not a bad thing. Let's do this. Well, hey guys, I'm Thomas Costello, the founder of REACHRIGHT, and little secret, when I founded REACHRIGHT, I was a bivocational pastor. In fact, all of my pastoral ministry, 15 years of it in total, was all done bivocationally. When I was a young minister right out of Bible college, like a lot of people, finances were pretty tight, and to make ends meet, I worked another job to help supplement what I was making from the ministry that I was doing. And that model worked okay, but there were all kinds of challenges that came with it at the same time. When I planted a church in 2007, I was a bivocational pastor, and I started working for a company that was helping churches do websites, and that was a good way for me to provide for my family and plant a new church. Then in 2013, I did a church restart and grew a church into a medium-sized church, all while being bivocational. When I started that church, my prayer was, Lord, would you grow this church to a place where I wouldn't need to work another job anymore? But by the end, I was so in love with the model of being bivocational that I wanted to keep pastoring and keeping my job here at REACHRIGHT at the same time. And come to find out, I am not alone in this, and I think there's a few reasons why that I want to unpack in this video. Bivocational ministry is going to be the future, and here's why that is. Number one, bivocational ministry can free pastors from financial stress. Let's just face it, living is expensive. Inflation has been rising, and the cost of food and housing and transportation and gas, all these things have been only going up. And for pastors, that places a really unique burden on them, because here's the thing, it's hard for churches to be able to provide a full-time salary for their pastors, especially when it comes to smaller churches. And remember, the average size church in the United States is under 75 people. That means most churches probably have a hard time providing a full-time living wage for their pastors and other leaders. What many church leaders have found is that if they can work a few days a week outside of the church, or maybe a few hours 5 days a week, they can actually provide better for their families, and it relieves that heavy stress that a lot of, especially young pastors, really tend to feel. In many parts of the country, the price of owning a home has doubled in just the last few years, and really it's a race that some young pastors will never be able to catch up with. So these kinds of creative solutions of bivocational ministry make a lot of sense. Secondly, and this is one that I really love, bivocational ministry requires that church leaders create strong teams. If you're working outside of the church and you don't have 40 hours a week to devote just to the work of the ministry, well, it requires that you actually build up people around you. I got to see the benefits of this firsthand, because when I was pastoring in Madison, Wisconsin, our church grew to a point where I, as a bivocational minister, couldn't do everything that needed to be done. And frankly, that's a good thing. One person shouldn't be making the entire church work. Instead, what it made me do is it made me look to other people that I could be investing in, and even investing financially in. Some of that money as we grew as a church that could have been used to supplement my salary and made me not bivocational, I was able to redirect it. And the council decided that we could invest in a few key people and give them part-time salaries as well to help finance their ministry. So it helped us to build really strong teams, and part of that was discipling other leaders and forcing me to replicate myself. I love this idea, and it's a great advantage of bivocational ministry. The third advantage that I've seen to bivocational ministry is it helps pastors better relate to their members. When I first came into ministry, having never really worked a full-time job outside of a church, I had no real idea all of the stress and pressure and work that's upon an average family. In many churches, we ask people to come on Sunday mornings and then to come midweek to some kind of a service and to volunteer some other time during a week and maybe go to small group. And that just is a lot to ask of people. And I realized that when I started working outside of the church. It helped me to relate to the stresses and the things that a normal person that isn't involved in ministry 24/7 and the things that they're facing. The church is an important part of their lives, to be sure, and their faith matters matters deeply, but being at every single thing that we ask people to be at church is not their top priority. And working outside of the church really helped me to realize some of this. The fourth advantage to bivocational ministry is that it frees up finances to be invested in other places. Maybe you've heard it said that the best way for a ministry to break down their budget is to spend 1/3 on facilities, 1/3 on staff, and 1/3 on ministry. And that's a great rough model, but I find that the vast majority of churches overspend on the staffing part of their budget to the detriment of the ministry part of their budget. If you release your pastors to work outside of the church and able to maybe pay them a little bit less as bivocational ministers, think of all the things you can do if there were thousands of dollars every single month that weren't being spent on staffing that could then be redirected into community engagement and outreach and marketing, just doing more things to get the gospel in front of more people. This is one of the great advantages that you see in bivocational ministry. And the fifth one, and one that I found to be true, is that bivocational ministry helps pastors develop skills that they may not have got in their theological training. Now, I went to Bible college and we took mostly theological classes. There was a class in there called Math for Ministers, and we often joke that that's just figuring out what 10% of everything is and how to estimate crowds and add 50%. But in reality, there's a lot of skills that people maybe pick up in their education and work experience that a lot of pastors never have the chance to develop. We're great with the Bible, we're great at leading prayer, maybe you even know some Greek, but when it comes to some of those real life skills, I find that I was missing them when I first got into ministry. And being bivocational, it gave me an opportunity to develop skills that I wouldn't have developed otherwise. Some of these life skills can be so valuable to pastors, and they can help you do more work of the ministry. I know one pastor in my area who bivocationally flips cars. He finds cars that need repair, he fixes them up, and he sells them. And as part of that, he's able to help other people in his church or moms that need some help. He's able to help them fix the cars because he's developed these skills from having a bivocational assignment. So these are just 5 of the reasons why I think bivocational ministry is the future of ministry, but I want to know what you think. If this video has been helpful to you, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.